Dan Illman, Mike Beard, race number 8 at Churchill Downs on Future Stars Friday is the Grade 1 Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf. Let's take a look at this field. We're going a mile on the turf. $1 million for the 2-year-olds, and we have an overflow field. And Mike, I think this is a really interesting race because your favorite might be in the 7-2, 4-1 range, and the number 14, Anthony Van Dyke, has really kept some good company. Group 1 placed in his last 2 races, getting Lasix. He's a son of Galileo. He's faced the best competition. Listen, that Too Darn Hot, the horse that beat him last time out, he is a very exciting 2-year-old prospect. I believe Anthony Van Dyke is getting some class relief here, but boy, the magic of Ryan Moore is going to be tested. He's going to have to wave that wand from post 14.
Yeah, I agree with you. He's faced, not only did he face Too Darn Hot last time, who's a really promising horse, even 2 starts back. He was in against Quarto. That's another really good 2-year-old over there. And he had really acquitted himself well in that race against Quarto. That was a good performance from this horse. I do think he's the horse to beat in here, Dan. I do think that post 14, it complicates matters for him a little bit in here. He's going to have to be on his game to beat this field, because outside of him, it just feels like it's sort of more evenly matched than anything else. He might be the best horse, but he's got a bad post.
I think Moore and O'Brien overcame post 14 at Keeneland a couple of years back with Hit It a Bomb, who I think came from with a one-run close. I think Anthony Van Dyke might be more of a tactical sort. We saw that in the Dewhurst, where he made the lead in the rail a furlong out, only to be no match for Too Darn Hot in the runner-up. I wonder if Ryan's going to try to utilize this horse's speed, seeing that there isn't a ton of speed 3 spots inside of him. Maybe he can get close without losing too much ground. I think he is the best horse, but you're right, this post is no bargain. The number 12 Current goes out for trainer Todd Pletcher, and this horse beat 3 of these common foes in his most recent start. That was the Grade 3 Bourbon, where he came with a big, wide, late run to just get up in the shadow of the wire. That pace was good for him.
Yeah, the pace did set up pretty well for him. I think it gave him just enough in there, because Jose Ortiz, I don't know that when you go back and watch the replay there, I don't know that he wanted to be that far back, but he did have to take a hold of this horse early, because I don't think he wanted to be caught wide around that turn. So he took him back, and once he got clear in the stretch, this horse really flew home at the end. I liked that effort from him. You can just go back 2 races on his card where they kept him very close to the pace when they were able to do that, and he still finished. This is a talented horse. I think he's dangerous in here.
He just got the bob over the 6 Henley's Joy, who was a little bit closer to that pace. I thought, all things considering, for the most part, Tyler Gaffalione had him in a good spot. He was saving ground in behind the lead. Maybe it took him a while to get out in mid-stretch, but this is just a solid horse for Michael Maker, who runs hard every time, and he might have more of a tactical gear than Current in the Europeans.
Yeah, it's true enough. We'll see what kind of trip he gets this time, but so far, especially in his last 2 starts, he had some real trouble in his debut and overcame it in a really impressive performance. His last 2 races, he's gotten very good trips, but it's nice to see a horse like him, who you know has talent. He's also very game. He wants to race you in the stretch.
40 under the number 4 is really taken to turf. 2 for 2 on the surface for trainer Jeremiah Engelhardt. Got a nice setup, I thought, last time out in the Grade 3 Pilgrim, but did what he had to do. Couple of 80-plus Beyer speed figures leading into this race with a good post position and tactical speed.
Yeah, undefeated on turf since they switched him over, and he's sort of run similar races both times in New York. He gets himself close to the pace, but he's not a real speed. He'll track along with it, and then he finishes late in his races. This horse is another one. I think he's a big contender in here, Dan. He's one of the shorter prices on the morning line, but he can get a good trip in this race.
Could you argue that the 7 Some Like It Hot Brown ran equally as well as 40 under last time out? Timeform US has those splits for the Pilgrim, and it was over yielding ground at Belmont. Color-coded red. They thought it was a fast pace. Some Like It Hot Brown was right up on that pace, opened up a big lead, and 40 under was able to finish him off. Do you give him extra credit for being close to the pace, or do you say, listen, it's twice now that he's had the lead in the stretch and he hasn't been able to hold on?
Yeah, I sort of look at him the latter way, but I see what you're saying with the pace, you know, was legitimate over that yielding ground, that he did take it over early, but he took it over from a huge long shot in there. I thought if he was going to win one of those graded stakes races, that would have been the time last time, and 40 under just ran him over.
I think the 5 Line of Duty, if he stays at that 10-1 morning line, is a horse that you might want to consider, because this is a son of Galileo going out for the Godolphin folks, and I know it was only a Group 3 last time out, but they stretched him out to a 1 1/8. He was in behind horses, and when he got clear, he came with a run. And that 3rd place horse came back to win a Group 1 in the next start. This Line of Duty, I think, fits. Maybe a mile's actually a little bit short for this horse, but he's got some ability.
Yeah, I agree with that. He was good last time. And listen, maybe he's facing an even better field this time. We'll see what happens with that, but the way that he got sort of locked in behind the lead and then only got clear late and still finished and got clear of that field at the end, that was a pretty impressive performance. I like this horse a little bit in here.
Uncle Benny is a perfect 2 for 2 for trainer Jason Service. Gate to wire winner on dirt at Monmouth, then came from last to win the Futurity at Belmont on the turf. Now, in the Futurity, he just got a very fast pace to run at over a very wet turf course. But this is a massive son of declaration of war. And if you're just handicapping physiques, this stretch out in distance, no problem.
Yeah, you can see why Jason Service was really excited to stretch this horse out. He was really hoping he got into this race and didn't have to sprint this horse again, and he doesn't have to, and you can understand why when you see him. I think he's run really well in both of his races. I also feel like he had almost all the best of it last time, coming from last into a pace that fell apart.
Uncle Benny is by declaration of war, as is the number 8 Opry, who won the Grade 3 with anticipation on firm going 2 starts back. A race in which Javier Castellano had to get into him on the far turn to get him interested. You get the feeling that this horse is still a little bit green and he runs in spots. Now in the Pilgrim last time out, he was bet down to favoritism and he just kind of ran around there again.
Yeah.
I think he hated that yielding going.
I do too. I don't think he really appreciated getting the cut in the ground. So we'll see what happens with him on Friday, because it does seem like there's a lot of rain in the area there. He might not get the firm ground that he really wants. But just going back to that with anticipation and watching the way that he came home the last 1/8 of a mile in there, you have to believe that if he can handle whatever kind of ground he gets and works out a trip, he's going to be flying late in this race.
King of Speed, the number 11, might be the best of the Southern California 2-year-old turf horses. He won the Zuma Beach Stakes last time out, and that was his 2nd consecutive stakes win for such a good trainer in Jeff Bondi. Now, he got a good pace that day. They went 45 and 1 to the half. He was able to come up the inside to win it under Gary Stevens, and he beat Much Better, who was making his turf debut for Bob Baffert. I thought Much Better ran just as well as the winner, and he might be the horse that makes the running here.
Yeah, I think he probably will. He's a pretty fast horse. That was a quick pace he was in attendance to last time, and he just got tired at the end. King of Speed came through on his inside and outfinished him at the end. King of Speed in both of his last 2 stakes wins, right up the inside both times. We'll see if he can get that trip this time.
Let's talk about some more Europeans. These at prices. The one is Arthur Kitt. This horse is a Group 3 stakes placed runner. Couldn't run with too darn hot last time out. Just didn't fire, it looked like. In the Royal Lodge Stakes, maybe the Lasix will wake him up. Inside post is okay, and the horse that he finished directly ahead of did come back to win a listed race in France. I think some of the other Europeans are classier.
I do too, but he's got some of them outposted down towards the inside, and maybe the Lasix wakes him up. His effort 2 back was not bad.
The number 9, the Black Album, scored at 16 to 1 in a Group 3 stakes at France last time out. And this is a horse that's got a little bit of tactical speed. You know, I don't think this one has to come from 100 lengths out of it. The 4th place finisher of that race came back to win a Group 1 race in France. So this horse has some credentials, is going to be a giant price. Maybe can sneak into the exotics at the very least.
He showed some good tactical speed in his last 2 starts in particular. I'd be a little worried about how far he wants to go. He made a clear lead in the stretch last time, and he was desperate to hold on. I know they're jumping, he's beaten there.
Marie's Diamond stretching out from 6 furlongs to a mile. This horse is a Group winner in Ireland. Finished 4th last time out in the Middle Park Stakes, one of the leading sprint races for 2-year-olds in Europe, and finished ahead of a Next Out Group winner. I think this horse is okay, actually. I'm a little concerned about the distance and post.
Yeah, the post does not help, especially for a horse who really feels like he needs to up his game to get this distance, because I'm not sure how far he wants to go. And he's found the sledding pretty tough since they stepped him up in class in his recent starts.
Let's take a look at our top selections for the Grade 1 Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf. Mike, let's talk about the number 10, War of Will for Mark Casse. A maiden, but this is a horse who last time out in the Bourbon, I think, was setting a legitimate pace over that ground. If you look at the way it was finished, Current came from far back. Henley's Joy was sort of a stalker. War of Will was really the only part of the pace that was around at the end. And while he's blown leads in his last 2 races, I think he's shown ability, and there's always been a little buzz about him.
Yeah, I sort of feel the same way about him. I don't know that he's really going to be up for beating all of these horses. You face a full field of 2-year-olds, and they're all pretty talented. It's going to be a tall order for him. But I also think he's probably a little better than he looks on paper. I thought he ran well last time in the Bourbon. I just think he might have gone a little too fast early. When you go back and pull the replay, I mean, you're down inside the 16th pole. He is still there. They just got him at the end, even after making the fast pace. I thought he ran great in the summer. 2 starts back, too. He tracked that day. The horse that ran him down Fog of War, he's not, unfortunately didn't make this race, but he's really talented, and he just got this horse at the end as well. doesn't need the lead dad, but he's going to be forward in here. And, you know, once I saw Anthony Van Dyke got that outside post, I was going to try and take a shot against him.
Mike's going to go 10, 14, 12, and 5. I just think Anthony Van Dyke's the best horse. He's been taking on the best company. Now it's up to Ryan Moore, one of the best jockeys, to work out a trip from post position 14. Maybe the post position knocks his price up a tick or two. He's 4-1 on the line, and considering what he's done overseas in Europe, that might actually be a fair price if he moves up to 9-2 or 5. 14, 5, 1, and 13 for me in the Grade 1 Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf. It's race number 8 at Churchill Downs on Friday. It has an approximate post time of 5:22 Eastern. Good luck.